everyone thought Daniel Carter had finally won in life. He had everything people dreamed of. A successful company. A beautiful house. A luxurious lifestyle. And a young wife who always smiled beside him. But years before the fame, before the money, and before the success, there was another woman. A woman who believed in him when nobody else did. Her name was Emily. 10 years earlier, Daniel was not a successful businessman. He was just a young man with dreams bigger than his bank account. He spent his days searching for opportunities and his nights worrying about bills. Many people told Emily, "Why are you wasting your life with someone who has nothing?" But Emily never listened. She saw something in Daniel that others couldn't see. She saw his heart. She saw his determination. And most importantly, she saw his potential. When Daniel failed, Emily encouraged him. When he felt hopeless, Emily reminded him of his dreams. She worked long hours to support them. She skipped vacations. She wore old clothes so Daniel could invest money into his future. She gave up pieces of herself so he could become the man he wanted to be. One night, while sitting in their tiny apartment, Daniel held Emily's hand and said, "One day, I will give you the life you deserve." Emily smiled. "I don't need a perfect life, Daniel. I just need you to remember me when everything changes." Daniel looked into her eyes. "I promise I will never forget you." But sometimes success changes people. And sometimes people forget the hands that lifted them up years past. Daniel's business grew. The small apartment became a mansion. The old car became a luxury vehicle. The man who once struggled became a name everyone respected. But as Daniel's world became bigger, his heart became smaller. The conversations with Emily became shorter. The dinners together became rare. Work became his excuse for everything. "I'm busy. I have a meeting. I'm tired." Those 3 sentences slowly destroyed a marriage. Emily noticed the change. She noticed that Daniel no longer looked at her the way he used to. She noticed that the man who once couldn't spend a day without her could now spend weeks feeling like a stranger. But she stayed silent. Because she remembered the old Daniel. The man who promised forever. The man who cried when she helped him during his hardest days. She believed that man would return. But she was wrong. One evening, Daniel came home earlier than usual. Emily smiled. She thought maybe he finally wanted to spend time with her. She prepared dinner. She lit candles. She waited for the husband she missed. But when Daniel entered the room, his face was different. There was no love. Only distance. "Emily, we need to talk." Her heart immediately sank. She slowly sat down. "Is something wrong?" Daniel looked away. "I don't think this marriage is working anymore." For a moment, Emily couldn't understand his words. After 10 years. After every sacrifice. After every difficult night. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. "What are you saying?" Daniel took a deep breath. "I want a divorce." The room became silent. Emily looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Daniel, after everything?" He avoided her gaze. "I have changed. My life is different now." Emily whispered. "No, your life became different because we built it together." But Daniel was no longer listening. There was someone else. A woman named Sophia. She was younger. Beautiful. And she only knew the successful Daniel. She never saw him struggle. She never saw him fail. She never stayed awake worrying about his future. But Daniel believed Sophia understood him better. He believed she was the happiness he was missing. The divorce broke Emily. But she didn't fight. She didn't beg. She didn't ask for money. She only said one thing. "One day, Daniel, you will understand the difference between someone who loves your success and someone who loved you before you had anything. Daniel walked away. And Emily watched the man she spent 10 years loving leave her life. Months later, Daniel married Sophia. Everyone celebrated. The media called them a perfect couple. People praised Daniel for finding a new beginning. But nobody knew the pain behind Emily's silence. Nobody knew the secret she carried. A secret connected to Daniel's biggest regret. A secret she protected because she still cared about him. And years later, that secret would be revealed in the one place where nobody could hide from the truth. A hospital room. Daniel Carter thought he had finally found the perfect life. Years after leaving Emily, he had everything he once dreamed about. Money. Fame. A beautiful home. And a wife who seemed to love him. Sophia was expecting their first child, and Daniel believed this was the beginning of a new chapter. He often told himself, maybe leaving Emily was the hardest decision of my life, but maybe it was the right one. He had convinced himself that the past was behind him. But the past has a way of returning when people least expect it. One cold evening, Daniel received a phone call that changed everything. Sophia had gone into labor. Daniel rushed to the hospital with excitement and fear mixed together. For the first time in years, he felt nervous. He imagined holding his baby for the first time. He imagined becoming a father. He imagined a future filled with happiness. When he arrived at the maternity ward, he saw doctors and nurses moving quickly. After several hours of waiting, a doctor finally walked toward him. But the doctor's expression was not what Daniel expected. There was no smile. No congratulations. Only seriousness. Mr. Carter, we need to talk. Daniel immediately became worried. Is my wife okay? Is the baby okay? The doctor looked down at the file in his hands. Your wife is safe. The baby is healthy. Daniel released a breath of relief. Then what is wrong? The doctor hesitated. There is something you need to know. Daniel felt a strange fear inside him. What is it? The doctor looked directly at him. According to our tests, you are not the biological father of this child. The words hit Daniel like a storm. For several seconds, he couldn't speak. What did you say? The doctor repeated calmly. The DNA results show that the child is not yours. Daniel stepped back. His entire world started falling apart. No, that is impossible. He looked through the hospital room window at Sophia holding their newborn baby. Questions flooded his mind. How? Why? Who had betrayed him? He felt the same pain he once caused another person. The same feeling of being abandoned. The same feeling of having your trust destroyed. But before Daniel could confront Sophia, a nurse approached him. Mr. Carter, there is someone here asking to speak with you. Daniel turned around. And his heart stopped. Standing at the end of the hallway was Emily. The woman he had abandoned years ago. The woman he blamed. The woman he thought he would never see again. She looked different. Older. Stronger. But her eyes still carried the same kindness he remembered. Daniel couldn't move. Emily? She slowly walked toward him. I knew this day would come. Daniel stared at her in confusion. What are you doing here? Emily looked at the hospital room. Then back at him. I came because you deserve to know the truth. Daniel felt anger rising inside him. Truth? After all these years? Emily stayed calm. Yes, Daniel. The truth. He shook his head. I don't understand. Emily took a deep breath. Because nobody ever told you what really happened. Daniel looked at her. What are you talking about? Emily's eyes filled with emotion. Do you remember when we were married and everyone believed I couldn't have children? Daniel became silent. That memory came back. Years ago, doctors had told them Emily might never become a mother. Daniel remembered how disappointed he felt. He remembered his family's reactions. He remembered the whispers. But Emily continued, they were wrong. Daniel froze. What? Emily looked down. I was never infertile. The hallway became silent. Daniel couldn't believe what he was hearing. Then why did you say you were? Emily's voice became emotional. Because your family blamed you. Daniel looked confused. What? She continued. They told everyone that the problem was because of you. They said you were the reason we couldn't have a child. They questioned your manhood. They made you feel ashamed. Daniel slowly remembered those painful days. His family had pressured him. His confidence had broken. But Emily had never told him the truth. Why didn't you tell me? A tear rolled down Emily's face. Because I saw how much it was hurting you. I loved you. I didn't want the world to destroy the man I loved. Daniel stared at her. For the first time in years, he saw Emily differently. She wasn't the woman who failed him. She was the woman who protected him. Emily continued. I discovered I was pregnant shortly before you asked for divorce. Daniel's eyes widened. Pregnant? Emily nodded. But when you left me, I knew you had already chosen another life. I didn't want to use a child to force you to stay. Daniel felt his heart breaking. Where is the child? Emily looked toward the hospital room. The child you never knew about is standing closer to you than you think. Daniel's breathing stopped. What are you saying? Emily looked at him with tears in her eyes. Daniel, the nurse who brought you here today? He slowly turned. A young woman in a nurse uniform was standing nearby. Emily whispered. Her name is Lily. Daniel looked at the young woman. She is your daughter. Daniel felt like the entire world had stopped. The woman he abandoned. The child he never knew. The truth he never discovered. Everything came crashing down at once. And then Emily said the words that destroyed him. I spent years protecting your name, Daniel, while you spent years believing I betrayed you. Daniel stood in the hospital hallway, unable to move. His mind was filled with thousands of questions. The woman he blamed for years. The woman he walked away from. The woman he believed had nothing left to give. Had actually protected him. And the child he never knew existed. Was standing only a few feet away. Daniel looked at Lily, the young nurse. He wanted to speak. He wanted to say something. Anything. But the words refused to come out. Finally, he whispered. Are you really, my daughter? Lily looked at Emily. She had tears in her eyes. Then she slowly nodded. Yes. That one word broke something inside Daniel. All the years he had missed. All the birthdays. All the first steps. All the moments a father should have experienced. Gone. Because he was too blind to see the truth. Daniel covered his face with his hands. For the first time in many years, the successful businessman everyone admired was not a powerful man. He was just a broken father realizing what he had lost. I didn't know, he whispered. Emily looked at him sadly. I know. I swear, Emily, if I had known. She interrupted softly. But you didn't. Those words hurt more than anger. Because they were true. Daniel had spent years blaming Emily for a pain she never caused. He remembered every cruel word. Every accusation, every moment he made her feel worthless. And now he finally understood. The person he abandoned was the person who loved him the most. A few hours later, Daniel finally entered Sophia's room. Sophia looked nervous. She already knew the truth had been discovered. Daniel stood near the door. Why? Sophia looked away. What do you mean? Why did you lie to me? Sophia remained silent. Daniel continued. I trusted you. After a long pause, Sophia finally spoke. The truth is, I was afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid that if you knew the truth, everything would disappear. Daniel shook his head. You let me believe I was the father. Sophia looked down. I wanted the life we had. Daniel felt disappointed. Not because she made a mistake, but because she chose a lie over the truth. I lost everything because I trusted someone who only loved what I had. Sophia started crying. But Daniel walked away. Because some wounds cannot be healed with simple apologies. The next day, Daniel went searching for Emily. He found her sitting outside a small cafe. The same quiet woman who once waited for him to come home. But now she was different. She was no longer waiting. Daniel sat across from her. I owe you an apology. Emily looked at him. For what? For everything. His voice broke. For leaving you. For blaming you. For forgetting everything you did for me. Emily remained silent. Daniel continued. You gave me your best years, and I gave you pain in return. A tear fell from his eye. I spent years thinking you were the person who hurt me, but you were the person who protected me. Emily looked away. Daniel, some things cannot be undone. I know. And some pain doesn't disappear. I know. Then why are you here? Daniel took a deep breath. Because I don't want forgiveness because I deserve it. I want to ask for forgiveness because you deserve the truth. Emily looked at him. For the first time, she saw regret in his eyes. Not pride. Not excuses. Real regret. Months passed. Daniel started rebuilding his relationship with Lily. It wasn't easy. A father cannot recover years in a few days. There were awkward conversations. There were emotional moments, there were tears. But slowly, they created something new. A bond. A family. Daniel also spent time proving to Emily that he had changed. Not with expensive gifts. Not with promises. But with actions. He helped her when she needed support. He listened when she spoke. He respected the woman he once ignored. One evening, Daniel and Emily sat together watching the sunset. Daniel smiled sadly. I used to think success meant having everything. Emily looked at him. And now? Now I know success means not losing the people who loved you before you had anything. Emily smiled slightly. You finally learned. Daniel nodded. Yes. But I wish I had learned sooner. Years later, people no longer remembered Daniel Carter as the successful businessman who had everything. They remembered him as the man who admitted his mistakes. The man who rebuilt his family. The man who learned that true love is not about finding someone perfect. It is about valuing the person who stood beside you when life was imperfect. Because sometimes, the person you lose is the person who was always meant to stay. And sometimes, the greatest second chance comes after the biggest mistake.